Hey, how's it going? It's an absolutely lovely day here in Wainuiomata in Wellington, New Zealand, and I've decided I want a pizza for lunch, but I'm not going to order one, I'm going to make one. You can come give me a hand. So my kitchen at the moment is an absolute mess. So I'm not going to do the whole wide angle talk through things. I'm just going to show you how I put the pizza together and how quick it can be. And I'll do it pretty much real time. So next time you're hungry and you want something to eat, maybe you'll be able to do this as well. It's really, really easy, surprisingly. Rightio, I'm going to start by grabbing out all the ingredients we need. Now the first one I'm going to get obviously is flour. The second thing I want to get is some sugar. I'm using a caster sugar because it's basically the same as any other sugar, of course, except it's ground finer, so it's got more surface area and dissolves and reacts faster and that sort of thing. Just some basic plain iodized table salt, and of course some dry yeast. 1, 2, 3, 4, and the other thing I need is a bit of olive oil, and that's what I'm going to use to make the basic bread. Actually, I'm going to grab some oregano as well. The other stuff I'm going to need is, of course, a pizza stone, a bowl, and a knife. Now, the astute among you may have noticed by now that I've got quite a few items of Tupperware in my kitchen. I'm not sponsored by Tupperware, but if they were to sponsor me, I could do even more of this cool stuff and show their stuff off. Okay, so into the bowl here. Let's move that aside. To make my base, I'm just going to grab 1 cup of carefully measured flour, a small amount of salt. Salt's used to arrest the yeast growth so that it doesn't go too overboard. We want a carefully measured teaspoon or 2 of sugar. That helps promote the yeast growth at first. So these things combined sort of help the yeast get started, then it can feed off the gluten in the flour and make sure it stops at a period of time. And also into there we'll just add a wee bit of olive oil. It says about a teaspoon or tablespoon. I like to put a little bit more in, and of course a bit of the dried yeast, which I'll just open up here and pour in, and just mix all of that around. Now once you've got all that together, just get your finger in there and mix it up. It's going to be a bit cluggy and it's going to get stuck all over your hands, but that is absolutely not going to matter because you're going to get this all over your hands in a second anyway. And then we just need a little bit of warm water. And when I say warm water, I mean warm, don't get hot water. If you get hot water, it'll just kill the yeast off. If you get cold water in there, it's not going to do anything. So you just want to put a little bit of that water in there at first. That activates the yeast and starts it talking to the flour and the gluten in the flour. Now, when you're picking a flour to use for making any sort of bread, what you want to do is pick something with as much protein in it as you can. So sort of 12% protein, that sort of thing. Put more of that water in. There you go, and it'll get quite soggy. That's okay. You want to slightly oversaturate it because you want to make sure that you're getting that well mixed around. And it's great to get that nice and gooey on your fingers. Okay, then once you've done that, add a bit more flour in, and that will mean that you can start sort of moving it around and squishing it and drying it out with that little bit of extra flour. Now the water in here is only going to soak up as much flour as it needs, so you don't need to worry about it getting too dry or anything. There we go, not going to need any more of that. Okay, so then what you do is you can take your mixture out and just tip it straight up over onto your dry bench. And I'm going to grab my oregano. Normally I'll clean my fingers off before I do it. I'm just going to put a little bit of that on top of there. It's okay that it's in a bundle. This is not something you need to do. I just like to have something like that, oregano or flat or basil or something like that in my pizza dough. There we go. And then just start folding it around like this. You got the flour on the bench there. It'll pick up flour if you start getting moist patches in your dough as you stretch it out. You'll get that, so it'll pick that up and stop it from sticking on the bench. Okay, and we're just going to turn that, fold it, press, fold it and press. So this kneading of the dough does two things. It wraps air up in pockets inside your bread dough, and also as you press down and roll it with the palm of your hand, it stretches the fibres out and everything as well. That's how you get your bread dough nice and smooth. If it starts getting a bit sticky, which it will do, just put some more flour on the bench and it'll only pick up as much flour as it needs to. Right, and you just need to keep up this kneading action for a few minutes until the dough becomes quite smooth. You'll notice the difference when it happens, because in here at the moment you can see it's sort of lumpy and rutted and looks like cratered, and it cracks up around the side there, and when you've done this for a few more minutes, that smooths out the dough really nicely, really quickly. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put that back in the bowl there. I'll come and tidy up later, and I'll let that rise. Okay, now that that's had about 10 minutes to rise, I didn't want to make you sit through all of that. We've got a much bigger bit of dough. I'm just going to put a drop of the olive oil here down onto the pizza stone. Obvious reasons, it's going to stop it from sticking. And I'll just rub that around a little bit. There we go, so it's a good coverage of the stone. And then I'll grab my risen bread dough and put that on there. And by doing that, I've put a little bit of surface oil on there, which is good as it acts as a release agent. So then I can use my lovely marble pastry roller and just take the pizza base out to the edges here, and it's that quick, that easy, nice and even. And that's quite thin at the moment. It's probably 3 or 4 mils thick, but once again I'm just going to let that rise again, and I'll push it off to the side, and I'm going to start working on the toppings, for which I'll need this and that. Yeah, Tupperware, see how good I am at product placement. Okay, I'm going to start with a tomato, because I like tomato on my pizzas. Not everybody does, but that's their problem, not mine. And I'm just going to quickly take some very thin slices of tomato here. To be totally honest, and not just trying to push Tupperware, that knife I've been abusing for the best part of 6 months, and it's absolutely fantastic, does not go blunt at all. The next bit, I want some cheese, and this is just a supermarket Edam cheese, nothing particular special. Don't use processed cheeses on pizza, it doesn't work, and you don't need to grate the cheese to go on the pizza either. You can just cut some nice thin slices that quick, just like that. Make it a fair amount of cheese, and that's a great thing in New Zealand, is there's legislation about what they're allowed to call cheese. If it's marketed as cheese, you know that it's going to be real cheese, none of this squeeze it out of a tube stuff. Another thing I like on my pizza is garlic, and I've got some here that I've frozen. Garlic freezes really, really well, so you can get all the husk and everything off it, and just grab some garlic out of the freezer whenever you want it. It's always going to be fresh. This garlic's frozen at the moment, so that's a bit tough to chop, but that's okay. I like it in big chunks. So in recent times I've been trying to shy away from heavily processed foods in general, and I've never really been a huge fan of heavily processed meats. So what I'm going to put on my pizza today is a tin of plain sardines in spring water. They've got a bit of flavour. I've always liked the seafood pizza, and they've got sardines and spring water and salt in the can. That's pretty good. So here I'll just open that up. There we go. And then I'll have a bit of a hunt through the fridge and just see what else I can find. The great thing about pizza is it's real easy to use to just dig into leftovers and bits of food that need to be consumed or they'll go to waste. So the other stuff I'm going to put onto here is some tomato relish that I've got. I'm going to slice up a couple of mushrooms here. I've got some capers that I'm going to spread around just for a bit of flavour, and some leftover capsicum from last night's dinner. Right, I'm just going to put all that onto the pizza base now, which has risen a bit, as you can see here. That's looking good, it's doubled in height, and I'll play you some nice music while I do that. Okay, now the pizza's all laid up and everything, it's time to put it into the oven, and I've got a really great oven here that has pizza cooking programs, so I'm just going to use one of those and that should come out as absolutely perfect pizza in about 10 or 15 minutes. And there we go, one cooked pizza, and now all I've got to do is slice it up, take it out and eat it, just like that. So there's the pizza, all ready to go, taking it out to the studio now so I can sit down with it, eat it, and edit this video for you guys to watch. So I hope you've enjoyed this, and you can go out and make your own pizza. It took me about 5 minutes to put the thing together and about 20 minutes to cook it. And yeah, that's something that everybody can do really quickly. It's probably quicker than ordering the thing, to be completely honest, and cheaper as well. So don't forget to hit the like button if you like it. Hit the like button if you didn't like it, just in case, you never know. And leave a comment below if you want to see me cook something else. Let me know that too, and hey, I'll go cook it. I enjoy cooking. And that's all I've got for this one. See you later on. Bye.